Hey guys, HelpingHans here and welcome to your 6th tip of the week. Today we're going to be talking about how to kite effectively in Company Heroes 3. So what is kiting? Kiting is utilising your unit's manoeuvrability and range to great effectiveness to deal damage to your opponent's units without receiving much damage in return. So for the first engagement, guys, I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. This is going to be the incorrect way, and the second is going to be the correct way. So this 8 rad, let's say we're moving this 8 rad down the road, and we come up against a enemy bazooka squad. So we start fighting the bazooka squad, and if we just stay here, we're just going to take bazooka fire, right? Which is not great. So now I'm going to show you guys how to effectively kite in Company Heroes 3 with this 8 rad armored car. So let's say we're on the road, and in comes a bazooka squad. So we see the bazooka squad coming in, and as soon as we see it, we're going to start keep backing away here. Notice how the bazooka squad is trying to line up a shot, but as I'm keeping my max distance here, they can't actually get the shot off. And here I'm constantly damaging the squad as I keep backing up. That way I'm utilising my max range while not taking any damage. So we just keep backing up here, just keep backing up before the bazooka squad can land a shot, and then I can maybe throw in some infantry here to help win the engagement like so. So that way we took very minimal amount of damage, with effective use of kiting. So you've got to bear in mind, guys, that when you are trying to kite like this, you need to make sure you've got a clear line reversing. You don't want to be backing yourself up against, for instance, this tree line over here, because if you back yourself up to here and that bazooka squad is closing on you, you can't reverse further because your vehicle's going to have to turn and then start reversing effectively, and that keeps it in that specific spot for a bit longer, which means that it buys more time for those Zooks to line up and fire those shots. So always make sure you're not impeding yourself when you're reversing your units back. So you always got a clean line of road. So on this map, Twin Beaches, you've got a nice road that goes from one side of the map all the way to your opponent's base, and you can easily keep reversing that way. So let's say you're over here fighting on the north side, follow my mouse cursor, you'd probably kite this way back, and you'd keep reversing this way. You don't want to be reversing into the point because you want to get stuck by the strategic point, so make sure you keep reversing back that way. Or if you're fighting over here, you reverse cleanly this way or cleanly around there so you don't get stuck on any of these walls and other parts of terrain. You also got to bear in mind what unit type you have. This Puma, fortunately, this 8 rad, can crush most sandbags and small walls and things like that. But if you've got like a lighter vehicle, like a Jeep or something, it wouldn't be able to potentially do that. So you've got to bear that in mind as well, what kind of crush type of terrain your vehicle has. So now here I have a motorcycle. Let's say I come up against this bazooka squad here, and I'm fighting it, and I incorrectly reverse here up to here. I can't get past the wall. I'm gonna have to. My vehicle's gonna have to do a funky maneuver here to get around it. Same thing here. If I got backed up, these sandbags over here on the left-hand side. Once again, I can't crush it because it hasn't got that medium crush type. So it's gonna have to do a turn around there to get around it. So always bear in mind the type of crush your vehicle has. Up next, we have a really good example, guys, of how to kite right from the early game with your Panzer Pioneers versus the Sappers. Now, normally, the Sappers, close quarters combat, will win pretty much 100 times out of 100 versus the Panzer Pioneers in close quarters combat. However, if you bring your second Panzer Pioneer over and you pull them away and you keep spreading out, you'll be able to win and do very well in the engagement. So what I'll do now is I'll show you how you would do it incorrectly. So right now I'm going to send my Panzer Pioneers. This time I'm going to start capturing this fuel point, and then while I'm building up these sandbags here, these sappers come in and start attacking me. So if you want to come in here, Thrawn. So let's say I've been caught out here, and what a lot of people might do is they might stand their ground and try and take this fight right now. But the sappers, they'll get in close, and then they'll just completely shred my unit, as you'll now see. So let's do that engagement again. I'm going to come over here with my Panzer Pioneers and start, let's say we're constructing this sandbag, and in come a sapper squad. Here comes a sapper squad, so I would immediately start backing away to avoid the sapper squad. But what I would do is I'd bring in a second Panzer Pioneer squad here to assist me with this engagement. So you'd be saying I would stop, I would take a shot here, because Panzer Pioneers are pretty good at range, and I would try and bring this first squad towards my second Panzer Pioneer. And I would just keep kiting like this and try and keep this one, keep backing away, because sappers only do good damage if they're close. So as long as I keep my distance and spread, I'll always have one squad here doing pretty good damage against the sapper squad. Just keep backing like that. Now we can probably just take the straight up engagement because we've got the numbers here, and we can just finish and win the engagement like that. And that way you know, we've taken a minimal amount of damage, and you know, we either killed that squad or forced it to retreat, and now that squad can freely keep capping up that fuel point and keep capping up the territory. So that's how you take an early game engagement against a sapper squad. So not only is it sappers, guys, but any kind of close quarters combat squads like commandos or assault grenadiers, if you try and use rifles like, you know, infantry sections, panzer grenadiers at range against those types of units and try and keep your distance and kite like that, you'll do a lot better than fighting them in close quarters combat. In this next bit, we're going to be talking about how you would effectively kite with a sniper. So here we have a Panzer Pioneer squad. I'm going to go try and start capping this point over here, this position point. You'll always build yourself a bit of cover like you would normally do. And what's going to happen now is Thrawn's going to open up with his sniper, like what would happen in a match. So there's the sniper. So we would probably try and push it and chase it down. He's going to try and kite back. So he's going to take a shot, pull back the cover, and then he's going to try and keep taking shots at me as I'm trying to chase him down like this.
Pioneers, quick march!
Obviously, the further I'm away from him, the less accurate I'm going to be.
Don't fall behind!
And also, look at this. He's done something really well here, which is he's baited me into a defensive position with a machine gun and a paratrooper squad, so I can't really, you know, effectively chase that. So I've lost 3 men. Potentially could have lost the 4th man if that sniper was quick enough to turn around and fire again there. But overall, you know, that was a great use of kiting back with the sniper. You know, hopping from green cover to green cover and then backing away and taking minimal damage. Each shot from a Panzer Pioneer, if it does hit the sniper, it does about maybe 20% damage. So if you know that for a fact, you know that how many more shots you could potentially take from Panzer Pioneer before the sniper likely dies. So make sure to, you know, with a sniper, fire 1 shot, back away to the next bit of green cover, fire again, and then, you know, if it looks like he's constantly chasing you, maybe even like duck around a line of sight blocker like this house here. So if I'm just going to chase it and the sniper was to hide around the back of the house, I would lose line of sight. I wouldn't be able to keep firing at it as it keeps backing away, which buys the sniper time to get yourself into better position, or, you know, gets backed up by friendly units. So next up we have a Marder. Now Marder and lots of other tanks in the game do have quite a lot of range. They actually outrange other tanks. In this instance, the Marder will outrange the Chaffee. Now here, if I play well with the Marder, I can effectively constantly keep hitting the Chaffee without the Chaffee returning fire, as you'll now see. So what I'll do is I'll engage the Chaffee at max range. The Chaffee will start, as soon as I start firing, the Chaffee will push me. So here comes the Chaffee, it's going to push me down, and I'm just going to keep backing up. I've got my motorcycle over here, give me vision, and I'm kind of baiting him forward here, and then he hits my mine, right? So that way, I've taken out the Chaffee, I've baited him onto a mine as well. So, you know, another like example with the sniper, he baited me into the machine gun. This time, I attacked the Chaffee, and I baited him onto a mine, and utilised my max range before the Chaffee could return fire. So as you can see here, I've moved that motorcycle away now. Now look at the amount of vision my Marder gets. It's really bad. My Marder can actually shoot all the way up to about here, as you can see, right? It can shoot a lot further than it can see. So to utilise its max range so other vehicles can't return fire, because if we saw the Chaffee, like let's say that was a Chaffee was alive right there and we shot that, it would immediately return fire because we're definitely within range of that Chaffee. But if we had something providing vision, we could shoot that Chaffee like we did earlier and without the Chaffee returning fire. So it's always good to make sure you provide vision for your units like the tank destroyer or like your pack guns that have good range. Otherwise, you're not using the full mechanics of the game to give you the best advantage. One other type of kiting you can do, guys, is beating the turret traverse time of certain units or things that have fixed guns. For instance, the Marder's got a fixed gun. Currently, it turns quite quickly, but it might be nerfed in the future, allowing other vehicles to keep circle strafing it so that even the Marder can't even get a shot off. So now we have the Rad here. We're going to be fighting this 75mm half-track, and we're going to try and see if we can kite it effectively on this road here. So here we go down the road. We found it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep going around it. As you can see, it turns incredibly slowly here, and we're just kiting it so it can't even fire its main gun off. Constantly circling around it, and that was a really good example of how to kite a fixed gun turret, a vehicle, or any kind of thing like that effectively. So make sure, if you were the owner of that half-track, the best thing you could have done then was just reverse back down the road and wait, try and give yourself some support. So, and in general, you fix guns like this, especially like with the Marder, you should always be backing up on either flank so that it's secure. Leaving it out in the open like this is a death sentence for these types of units. So guys, that's the end of the video, and I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please consider subscribing by clicking the button down here. Check out other content up here and over here. And rest assured you're in safe hands with my channel, because I'm putting out lots of Company Heroes 3 content to come in the near future, from tip content, guides, competitions, competitive scene, all that type of thing. You're in safe hands with me, so make sure to follow, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Take care.